All right. Heat's died down since Mozavar Evloev took a spanking from Diego Lopez because Diego Lopez is a true Giga Chad. But I kind of wanted to direct our attention to something a little bit more serious and something I'm worried about in the future for Diego Lopez. Now, why am I making a video on Diego Lopez's biggest weakness? Or the problem with Diego Lopez? Well, good sir asking the question. I'm worried, man. I want Diego Lopez to do well. I know he's a Brazilian fighter, everything like that, whatever. And I'm not exactly Brazilian, not exactly of the colored folk, but I'm rooting for Diego Lopez. He's one of my favorite fighters currently. He's definitely up there with Dan Hooker. You got Dan Hooker, Dustin Poirier, Diego Lopez, and fucking Alex Pereira. He's up there with them. And I think Diego Lopez, out of everyone at featherweight, definitely has the biggest shine on him, I think. Even more than Ilia Topuria. Now, what's the first thing that I think Diego Lopez's problem is? Now, when we look at Diego Lopez's career so far, decision against someone who's never been finished on a short notice fight where he made weight cuts twice in 24 hours. That's insane. No fighter's ever done that before. Sadiq Yusuff getting knocked out in round one. Insane. Pat Sabatino is retarded and wanted to strike with Diego Lopez. Got finished in round one. And then we got Gavin Tucker also in round one. One of the best transitions you'll ever see in UFC history. From bottom position armbar all the way to transitioning it to a top position armbar. And walking off. A walk-off submission, which you barely ever see in today's day and age. Beating Mozavar Evloev. If Evloev was a human being and he tapped instead of ruining his knee so that he now can only fight once every 2 years. Congrats, Mozavar. You're shit, alright? You're a boring fucking fighter who gets only decisions. So going to decision against Mozavar, and, arguably, he didn't win the fight, but he definitely was hunting for that submission and technically should have got it, but Mozavar's inhuman and he didn't tap. That's really his only shit loss in the recent history. We got Ken Glenn, whatever. We got Nate Richardson. Decision, split decision. Arguably, you could say he won that fight. I also think this is a little bit suspect, in my opinion. Then you got Joe Anderson Brito. If you don't know who Joe Anderson Brito is, he's a fucking killer right now. This was on Dana White's Contender Series. And another decision. Now, one thing you're noticing in each one of his losses, he's not getting KO'd or submitted. This guy not only is knocking people out and submitting them, but he's not getting knocked out and he's not being submitted. Not even close by that means. He was never in any danger against Mozavar. He was never in any danger against Dan Ige. Even though people want to say, Dan Ige was putting on a beating on him in round 3. Okay. And bro made a weight cut twice in a row. Dan Ige literally showed up that day on, like, whatever weight he was. You know what I mean? Like, duh, he's gonna fucking gas out if you make weight cuts 2 or 3 times within fucking 1 week, alright? Weight cuts are already brutal as is. Anyways, so what is his biggest problem? It's not the tick that he does where he scratches that little scar that was made on his Adam's apple. It's not the fact that sometimes he has questionable decisions when on the ground, but he eventually gets his own way. Like he would have finished Brian Ortega if he just stick to punching instead of like trying to get a submission. But before the fight, he wanted to like put a stamp on it and say, yeah, I'm going to submit Brian Ortega. Didn't end up doing that. Got very close in terms of, getting on the ground and everything. But if he just went for strikes and punches, and I think he knows that, and I think he knew that at the time, he really wanted a submission. You could tell if you watched the fight. But it's not the fact that his biggest weakness isn't this, right? His fuck, I'm retarded. Anyways, I can't speak, bro. His biggest weakness is he's too fucking strong. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, in this clip here, if we go ahead and play this at a 0.5, you'll notice he knocks him out, and in the same punch, he wakes him up. Or sorry, in the same second, he wakes him up. So not only does he have the power to shut your lights off, he's also got the power to wake you up immediately after, If Diego Lopez just decided to send this punch and not throw, the fight's over, Brian Ortega out cold. But he's so good that he knew exactly where Brian Ortega's head was going to be, because he knows he's going to be out cold, that he landed a second time, and he woke Brian Ortega's ass up. He's too good, man. His biggest problem, Diego Lopez's biggest problem by far, is that he's actually just too fucking good. Alright? His ground game is elite. It's on another fucking level. He literally is training kids in the gym and adults, MMA fighters, how to fucking submit people at the age of 29. I know 29 isn't like, you know, that's not crazy young, but for a UFC fighter who's about to be a title contender and fucking training like MMA, like, bro, this guy's doing fucking everything. I wouldn't be and this is not to mention, even after I know Alexa Grasso shit the bed on UFC Noche, but right after Diego Lopez's scheduled fight with Brian Ortega, he was in the corner reffing Alexa Grasso. This guy just gets done with fucking Brian Ortega and it's like, well, time to go help my fighter out. Bro, he's too fucking good. He's a great coach. He's a great trainer. He's a great submission artist. He's an absolute monster on the feet. And he's fucking, if you watch this guy, he might even arguably have faster hands than Ilia Topuria. I'm just saying, you know, Diego Lopez is fucking him, alright? I've been on this train for a long time with Diego Lopez. I picked him ever since Pat Sabatini, because I thought Pat Sabatini was a moron. Picked him in Yusuf, picked him in Danny Gay, even on that short notice, and picked him against Brian Ortega. All of these wishy-washy, pussy fucking, you know, yeah, we want picks Angelos, you know, just those type of people being like, well, we just don't know. Brian Ortega could be a monster, you know? No, he's not. Brian Ortega's still shit, and he's built like a soy boy bitch. Outside of round one, he just gets a buff where he gets an infinite chin, or infinite HP on his chin for some reason. But inside of round one, he's very finishable. And I think Diego Lopez, you know, proved that. There was twice, I would say, maybe even 3 times you could argue where Brian Ortega was literally, like, you could have called the fight and it would have been, like, fair. Especially with that sequence I just showcased from Twitter. But yeah, in my opinion, I think Diego Lopez's biggest problem is that he's too fucking good. Alright? So, what are the problems that he's going to run into? Now, if we see him against Volk, I think he knocks out Volk. But here's my problem if he tries to knock out Volk. He might accidentally head kick Volk, left hook, right head kick Volk out cold, and then right hook as Volk's face is coming in, waking up Volk, and then he has to deal with Volk another couple rounds. You know, that's the biggest struggle I think Diego Lopez is going to have. I am predicting him to win every single fight up until the point where he's champion, and then we get into some interesting matchups. I think he beats Ilia Topuria. Honestly, I think he beats Ilia Topuria. I think he beats Max Holloway. I'm saying it, man. I know a lot of people are questioning his cardio. We haven't seen him in a 5-round fight. I think he'd be that guy to finish Max Holloway. I think he genuinely is that guy. You know, I think Max Holloway is becoming a better fighter overall over the years, but I think the problem with Max Holloway is that his chin is very slightly going. You know, every fight you're seeing kind of knockdowns, you know. At some point, Arnold Allen almost, like, I would have considered it a knockdown, but I think they said out of balance. And then the same thing with the Justin Gaethje fight, where he was knocked down. So I'm getting kind of worried for Max Holloway's chin. I think Diego Lopez is that guy to knock him out, but that's just my 2 cents on it. I wanted to do something a little quick about Diego Lopez. Wanted to glaze the fuck out of him. I do think this guy's the real deal. I think he's grinded his ass off. I think he's an upstanding you Brazilians out there. I know Alex Pereira's champion and everything, and you want to like parade him. I want to too. Alex Pereira's a true Giga Chad. But once Alex Pereira's chin's gone, or he decides to retire, y'all motherfucking Brazilian fans better be jumping out of your seats for this guy. This guy is like, this is like a featherweight Pereira that was as good at striking as he is with everything else, and has a good chin. That is just a demon, alright? That's a fucking, this guy is gonna slaughter everyone at featherweight. That's my prediction. But yeah, With all that being said, I want to thank you for making it to the end of this video. As always, I hope you have a good day.